Hey lovelies, Esther here, and I'm doing the video on this is a deck that's off the second floor of our house. You can see the beautiful green behind, and that, my friends, that is my hot tub. This hot tub I bought in 1998. This is a very old hot tub, but I adore it. I've written 2 books, partly in that hot tub. Weird but true. Um, I I'm in that hot tub pretty much every day. I have a desk that I put over it. So there's a lot of my life that I've spent on this hot tub, but in my videos I've tended not to feature it because it's not like the most beautiful thing in the world. But, well, actually it is the most beautiful thing in the world. And I thought I'd, show off our house desperately in need. Airplane. Desperately in need of a paint job. Anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful fall day. Just, high 70s, I think. Just gorgeous, chirping of the birds. And I am back with another deck dialogue. As always, my film setup means that there's noise in the background because I just haven't gotten the time or the wherewithal to really figure out all the audio-visual stuff. That day may come. I am grateful for your patience in the meantime. So, what do I want to play with today? I'm doing these deck dialogues in advance of the Drop 'em 78 challenge, which begins October 15th. And the idea behind that challenge is that if you're participating, you commit to one deck, one deck to rule them all, one deck to bind them all. And we go through the cards one card at a time, one day at a time, starting with the Pentacles, with the Ace of Pentacles, moving into the Wands, then into the Cups, then into the Swords, and then diving into the Fool's journey with the Majors, ending up with the World on December 31st. An opportunity to really plunge into the idiom and imagery of a particular tarot deck, a particular artist's interpretation of the 78. And in so doing, to plunge deeply into the mystery of one's own heart, one's own life, as it unfolds day by day, card by card. That is the Drop 'em 78 challenge. I have a reason why we go through the cards in the order that we do, starting with the Pentacles. That reason is embedded in the name Drop 'em. The D stands for dropping anchor, the R stands for responding, the O for opening, the P for piercing through. And these are the activities that I associate with the suits of earth, fire, water, and air, with the Pentacles, the Wands, the Cups, and the Swords. And those activities are also at the heart of the mindfulness practice that tarot can be, allowing us to ground deeply in our lives, in our own heart, in our own bodies, and in settling back into our bodies, our lives, our hearts in this moment in time, part of the great web of life, then responding more authentically, or not authentically, more fully, more consciously to the world. And in that responding, opening to the flow, opening our hearts. And in that opening, a possibility of really piercing through, of clarifying, of moving through the accumulated, aggregated karma of our minds and our hearts, piercing through, clarifying. And then, having done that work, that elemental work, that elementary work with the minors, then we're in a place to really encounter the kind of cosmic, larger than my little self, that big S self journey of the Fool in the Majors. So that's why we go through the deck in the way we do, and the invitation then is to go through a particular deck. So which deck to choose? That is what we've been exploring in these deck dialogues. And there's a whole bunch of folks in the Mindful Tarot community who are exploring this all themselves. If you're not in the community, officially in the community, we're all in the community together, but if you aren't part of the conversation unfolding on Facebook, just ask to join the Facebook page, the Mindful Tarot's Facebook page. Drop me an email below if you want to be involved in the community. I'll get your name onto the mailing list, or just ask to join the Facebook page. Okay, I think that's all the kind of backdrop. Today's dueling deck dialogue, because I've really been enjoying pairing decks against each other, are two decks which use vintage photographs to map onto the major and minor arcana. And I want to start with Marie Bento, the wonderful, lovely, brilliant Marie Bento, who I first encountered at Newt's at Northwest Tarot Symposium, which is happening this week. Parenthesis, if you're going to be at Newt's, if you're going to be at Northwest Tarot Symposium, look me up. Drop me an email ahead of time so that, you know, we can exchange phone numbers or whatever. We can figure out how to meet each other, or just come and say hello to me. If you're going to be at Newt's, let's visit, let's talk, let's chat, let's confabulate. But I first met Marie at Newt's, and, you know, bought from her at Newt's. She's so amazing. Her antique Lenormand and her antiquarian tarot, her antiquarian Lenormand and her antiquarian tarot. And when the Lua tarot came out, or Lua tarot, this is the box. Look at that beautiful Medusa. I had to pre-order it. It's a gorgeous deck. Lua is from the Portuguese word for moon. And she chose the name because of both the silvery quality of these vintage engravings. They're not photographs, they're engravings. The silvery quality of them, and then also everything that the moon is within the world of tarot, within the world of our unconscious. She says, Lua features black and white tarot cards created using 19th century engravings. In the little booklet, which is actually not so little, it's nice and chunky. I think she says something about the name Lua. Yeah, Lua is the Portuguese word for the moon. The moon shades of gray and silvery luminescence are reflected throughout the deck's work. As the cards took shape during the creation process, their dreamy and soft quality inspired the deck's naming. And it's that dreamy softness and that kind of liminality of the color tones, their moon quality, that I think infuses this deck. All the same, it is not a deck that I've really read with. So, is it a deck that I want to take into this challenge? Its cardstock is wonderful, by the way. That sort of matte but flexible, a little bit stiff, a little bit that kind of quality of cardstock that wants you to shuffle and break it in and make it yours. I know that not everyone is a riffle shuffler, and consequently not everyone needs cardstock to do what I want cardstock to do. But for me, look how smooth it is. For me, cardstock that is flexible, that is smooth, or has a little bit of the grip of linen. Yum. And it smells nice too. Okay. So, Lua Tarot. What do you want to show me? What is it that you want to teach me? How do your images of our past, how do they want to lead me? Where do you want to take me? I feel like I need to do one last riffle shuffle. Whoops. And I have a jumper. Oh, and it is the Four of Swords. Wow. There she rests under the moon with fabulous night birds, perhaps. wafting through the heavens. I was pausing for a moment, realizing I'm assuming it's the moon, but you know, this could be a picture of daylight, an engraving of daylight. But the engraving process and its coloration makes everything look like it's nighttime. It's under the light of the moon. Okay, so that was a jumper, already seeming to suggest that this is a deck that wants to provide me the kind of rest of dreams, that space out of the hustle and bustle of life, the space of reflection. I do have a dream journal. I don't write in it every day. I write in it when I wake up remembering my dreams, and sorry, the sound of the hot tub, it just, motor just kicked on. And I have really been spending a lot of time consciously dwelling in the land of my dreams. That is a practice, that dream work is a practice that's super important for me. Really inhabiting that rich and full spaciousness of my own heart. So I feel like you're saying, Luatera, you're saying that in part, at least, this is what you want to help me do. Be in that space. Is that right? Ooh. Okay. Now I had an impulse here also to pull the top card, so we'll look at that in a second. The Five of Swords. She looks fierce. So you're saying there's more to it than that. This is not an easy thing, that there's going to be give and take and push and pull. Is this you or is this me, this figure up front? And what is her fierceness? Are you wanting me to encounter that fierceness? Maybe encounter that fierceness in the ways I retreat from it. You know, I feel like this is also stuff that you're wanting me to explore through my dreams. I feel this sense of dream work and this sense that you want me to encounter some of the tension and conflict that is internal, my fierceness and the fierceness that I retreat from. Is that, am I on the right path here? Oh, okay. So a sense of how it all works together, how it rises and falls, a sense of destiny. Oh, what an amazing image. You know, this is another card like the Five of Swords that has a central figure and a figure on the periphery. So I feel like this is about helping me find the center and the periphery. The wheel is such an important image in Buddhism, and I was just last week in the Dharma class that I'm teaching, I was talking about the center of the wheel and the rims of the wheel, and the wheel of life. You know, it's at the center that turns our karma, and then we can, on the rim, we can see it in more detail. And so this sense of being both at the center and at the rim of our turning life, and being able to see that turning and see that fate. If you're helping me see that, to what end? And please point me to the right direction if I'm not hearing you correctly. Okay, Four of Coins upside down. Boy, I keep getting the Four of Pentacles. Okay, something is being held here. I see this image as a kind of inverted shadow of the original Four of Swords, a kind of resting and stasis that is not positive. Maybe that's what you're saying with the Wheel of Fortune, that I need to turn. Something needs to turn. Are you going to help me turn? Is that what you're saying? You're going to help me turn? Yeah, Justice. Okay, Justice is my, it's my card of the year. Wow. So it's not just that you're going to help me turn, you're going to help me find the rightness here. You're going to help me find balance. I feel myself resisting this deck, like it's going to be too narrow. Can you tell me anything about that resistance? Why am I resisting you? Are you resisting me? Okay. All right. You're going to kick my ass. And you want me to kick ass too, don't you? Okay. Okay, this is you, and this is me through you, this Queen of Wands. I'll take it. Wow. What a beautiful, what a beautiful deck, Marie. This is a beautiful deck. This, by the way, is the back of the deck with that six-pointed star, the Star of David in Judaism, but also the meeting of fire and water, actually. Queen of Wands, there she is, the meeting of fire and water. Okay, that is the Lua Tarot. Whoa, that was a great read. Surprisingly amazing. Only surprising because this is a deck that I love and admire, but I haven't been drawn to work with. But now I'm considering it very seriously. Meanwhile, the other deck, which is, I misspoke at the beginning of this video by saying these were two photography decks, but they're two Ancestor decks, right? The engraving deck of the Lua, and then this deck, which is the Relative Tarot by Carrie. I was obsessed with finding, I did not get the Kickstarter version of this deck when it was out. I didn't know about it. I learned about it after the fact. And by then, copies of this deck were like insane amounts of money on the secondary market. I was able, through patience and diligence, and my trademark SD eBay stalkerdom, and also working with Facebook marketplaces, the various tarot communities, I finally found a wonderful copy of this deck for a reasonable price, and I am thrilled. It is beautifully produced. This brown, the brown edging, the brown matte cardstock. I just have to show off the mass market Wiser edition of this deck is also beautiful, but there's something about the brown. It's just really unusual. I think Carrie, her eye is amazing. I think it's got some of the most delightful collage work in integrating the elements of the suits. It's very Waite-Smithy. It's easy to read. It's a great deck, and I haven't worked with it systematically. And that's not because, it is, it chips when, like all decks with gilding, it will, or edging, it will chip. There is a little bit of reluctance sometimes with a deck that you've been seeking for a long time, that you're not going to ever probably be able to find a backup copy of this. A reluctance to work with it, but that's not what's kept me from it. It just time hasn't been right. Some of the early readings I did with it they weren't what I needed. The Kickstarter version came with an Oracle deck, which I like, but I'm not a big Oracle deck person. And so it's sort of mostly been underused since I got it. And I haven't had it that long. I probably had it about 8 months. So, this is this question, is now the time to plunge into this deck? Oops. And again, a jumper. As I asked the question, is now the time? And fuck, look what jumped. The Knight of Cups. These images a lot of them are drawn from theatrical stills, early Hollywood and other kinds of theatrical images. And so, there's this kind of campiness to the deck, which is really fun. So it's, there are a lot of vintage vintage image decks out there. There's a lot of this work there. One deck which I don't own, and if you do own it, I'd be curious, tell me below what you think of it, is the Carte Postale Tarot. I almost bought it several times, and it's a little bit expensive, and I'm thinking, if I'm not using the Relative Tarot, do I really need another vintage postcard deck? but I'm drawn to these decks, and often, you know, there is a kind of campy quality because of the way old photographs often are really presentational, really dramatic, often do have a kind of theatrical flavor to them, even when there's not theater involved. But here we have this very theatrical Page of Cups. This dreamer, knight, I mean, he's not really a knight, it's like 18th century, but swashbuckling, right? You know, Three Musketeer-ish look, holding his cup like a weapon or like a scepter, the cup of his own intuition. Okay, so is now the time, and is this the kind of dreamer that I want to activate? So are you saying to me, you are going to help me be that Knight of Cups? Is that your role in my world? Is that what you are going to teach me, Relative Tarot? The name Relative Tarot and the guidebook that comes with it is all about actually working with a sense of ancestor and karma. I'm not sure how that fits into this Knight of Cups. How are you going to help me work with you, or what are you going to bring me to? What are you going to lead me to? The Page of Wands. Okay, a card that I've gotten a number of times in the past few days. It's super fascinating how these deck dialogues, there's certain cards that are stalking me, and it's like the different decks, their interpretation. You know, there's the Page of Wandsiness, wands and cups and queens and knights and pages, a few kings too, the court cards. They're like coming through strong in all of these readings, but with different voices. And there are some choice of cards here. I don't have the extra cards with me right now, but I believe there was another Page of Wands option. So you can play with the different images too. Okay, so you're wanting to help me access my creativity and be grounded in that. That is getting to the heart of that. And is there ancestor work here for me? Is that part of what's going on? Is this about connecting with the past that spawned me, which, given my Jewish background and my parents, you know, may have to do with trauma and the Holocaust, and my parents being German Jewish refugees, Jewish identity in particular. I don't know if there's loss and sorrow that I need to be exploring, if that's part of what the Page of Wands is going to help me get to. Yeah, Five of Swords. Okay, and we just saw Five of Swords, right? Did we? Yes, we did. Okay, so both these decks are pointing me toward conflict. This one, and these numbers on the side, this has to do with Carrie Paris's method for working with kind of constellation. And I can't remember, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I looked at a few months since I looked at her guidebook. I'm trying to remember exactly how that plays out, but and where she's building on other people's work with this, I believe. So if I worked with this deck, I'd want to understand a little bit what her method is. But yeah, so there is like how this plays out generationally. I think interpreting the Five of Swords through parents and children. Yeah, there's something here. That kind of fierceness that we just saw in the Five of Swords in the Lua Tarot, and understanding the themes of cruelty and loss and violence and trauma that have infused my family system. This deck, I mean, this is not a very campy card. This is very serious. One of the things I admire about this deck is how it kind of moves between, you know, the campiness of this kind of a character to something that actually feels, okay, yeah, There's sorrow and pain and an effort to overcome that, but maybe also suppress it. Look at this boy over here. So are you going to help me with some healing then? How does the healing potential or reconciliation potential or grappling with my karma, how does that relate to the cupsy wandsy sense of inspiration or intuition? Oh, another 6 of Cups. I got 6 of Cups yesterday. Okay. So this is about getting back to childhood. What a fucking amazing image. And healing stuff back there. I mean, in this case, the racialized image here, you know, can we heal this? And I'm also seeing this from a Jungian archetypal sort of perspective, that kind of going back to the mythical childhood source where there's anima and animus, male and female parts, shadow and light, and then holding the flowers. So yeah, so you're going to help me go into that intuitive space that is also healing. Am I missing something? Am I hearing you? Am I missing something? Am I hearing you? I'm having an impulse to shuffle one last time. Okay, so you're saying there's a way here that that there is a kind of indecision. I think I'm not getting it all. Okay, I'm pushing for clarity, and you're saying that there might be something that I'm not seeing, and I just need to hold the balance for now. I just need to stay put with this, to linger with this. Today's talisman, you know, I've been using the Charmcast Tarot that I received the other day. Every day I've been picking a card, a charm for my talisman for the day, and 7 of Pentacles was what I picked today. So this suggestion of, yeah, okay, patience, patience, patience. It will grow, it will blossom, it will harvest. Be with it as it is right now. Okay, wow. 2 really interesting decks, promising some interesting work. And they're just beautiful. I mean, the colors in this deck, I'm particularly enamored of some of the greens, and let's see. Yeah, some of the greens and those browns. Look at that 6 of Pentacles, it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful deck. So yeah, which of these 2 do you think, guys, if you had to choose? Relative Tarot, Carrie Paris's Relative Tarot, or Marie Bento's Lua? And if you have worked with the carte postale, with that, or any other kind of ancestor vintagey deck like this, including the Marie Bento's Antiquarian Tarot, and if you have thoughts about that, just drop a comment below. Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, thank you so much for your practice. Take good care.